What's up, YouTube? So today we're going to get into actually quite a few things. Some good, some bad. I think the main premise for today's video is to just make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. Not even going to lie, in 2020 with the apocalypse going on, I have not been the best at doing so. You know, at the end of the day, I do realize that I do have to do a better job of taking care of myself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But I do realize that there are a lot of people within my network and probably some people that actually watch this channel that maybe could do a better job. And I'm going to share a little bit of a story as to why you should not take your own personal well-being for granted. So for those that don't know me, you know me as a photographer, filmmaker, Latin dancer. What you may not know is that for half of my life, I actually worked in the medical field. So up until the first quarter of 2019, I was working at one of the local hospitals as one of their lead pharmacy technicians. And the whole reason why I got involved in medicine was because all my life I loved helping people, and I always wanted the opportunity to do so. Right before I actually graduated high school, I had the opportunity to become a pharmacy technician, and I've worked as one ever since, while at the same time also building my photography and filmmaking business. Now, I'm the kind of person that takes his work very, very seriously. I mean, I've always been that way. I've always been, very driven. I don't let things get in the way of what needs to be done. But this becomes especially true when it comes to my patients. The whole reason why I got involved in medicine is because I wanted to help people lead healthier lives. And the jobs that I had at multiple hospitals in the region, multiple retail pharmacies in the region, gave me the opportunity to do so. So here's where things kind of took a turn for the worst. In almost a decade of working at this medical facility, I only took 4 days of vacation time. Never took a sick day, never took a personal day. And the only reason why I took vacation time was I was actually forced to by management because I had maxed out on my vacation time that I was able to save up. They literally pulled me into the office and said, you have to use up this time. Like, you have to take a day off. And the thing is, I really didn't want to, just for the simple fact that I knew how hectic things were at this medical facility. And the last thing that I wanted to happen was if something were to occur to one of my patients and one of the patients got put at risk because I wasn't there, there wasn't anything that I could have done, to help. I was really afraid that if I were to take a day off, something could happen that I could have possibly rectified. Unfortunately, going back to the first quarter 2019, I actually lost that job. And the funny thing is, I was hired on February 8th of 2010, and they let me go on February 8th of 2019. Suspicious, sus, just a little sus. It was this whole situation where a doctor messed up with a patient. The patient came to me, explained the whole situation, and was visibly frustrated. I tried to rectify the situation, and unfortunately, I was not able to get the correct help that I needed. And I reached out to several of my supervisors. They weren't able to help me with the situation. Long story short, the patient called back, said that he had the worst time at this facility getting his hip replacement done, and somebody was going to get fired for this. And instead of the administration of the facility holding the doctor responsible and accountable, they decided to protect that doctor and scapegoat the entire situation on me. It's funny how nepotism and protecting people that matter most, to the organization rather than the people that actually are trying their best to help patients out. I say all this because I spent almost a decade pouring my life and pouring myself into this job, not making any time for myself and my own well-being. My dance career and my photography and film business basically gave me the energy to endure this job that unfortunately I gave so much to and got so little in return. I feel like a lot of people are doing kind of the same thing. I started this business because at the end of the day, I fully realize that when it comes to these corporations and these big companies, you're just a number. You're easily replaceable, regardless of what they say. They can try and, hype you up and say that, you really are important to the organization, you're an integral part. No, if you were to drop dead the next day, they will have you replaced by the end of the week, if that. you know, and that's literally what happened. It's a shame that, you know, by the time I finally realized that I had to start taking more care of myself, that, you know, it ended up being right before they got rid of me. But I am glad that I took the time to just take a break and decompress and just spend some time with myself. Because if you don't do this, more often than not, most companies aren't going to be like my old company and basically force you to do so, right? That way you can perform to the best of your ability while you're actually at your job. I am glad that I finally realized that I had to take more time for myself. And so this video is number one, about taking that time to really take care of yourself, but also what I did to take care of me when I was forced to by my old job. So what did I do? I have a passport that has a whole bunch of pages that need filling, so I decided to get started on the process. I always wanted to go overseas to Europe, and unfortunately, I didn't think that I would have the time to do so until I was forced to have that time. So I made the best of that time and decided to go to... So basically, I really didn't get a chance to take that much video footage because, you know, I was just enjoying myself so much and just taking everything in. So this is going to be kind of a combination between the video that I did shoot and sort of a photo essay, because I did get a chance to do actually a little bit of photography while I was there. So yeah, that's how this is going to go from here on out. I can't really say why I really wanted to go to London, but for whatever reason, I always wanted to visit. I figured it was easier for me to go somewhere where they spoke mostly English, if not all English. Italy, I really do want to visit because my photo lab that I'm actually partnered with is based in Venice, Italy. So I really wanted to go to Venice, number one, to see the canals, but number two, to visit my photo lab and possibly see my work as it's being done in action. But unfortunately, I don't speak Italian yet, so we gotta wait on that as well. There's a whole bunch of other places in Europe that may have been a little bit more difficult for me, seeing as though I wouldn't be able to communicate with the locals, and you can only depend on Google Translate for so much. So I decided that, you know, London would be a really cool trip to do. The one thing that I will say is that this is my first time taking an extended flight, and jet lag is real. I honestly, when I first got to London, I had my first tea time, and then I immediately went to my Airbnb to try and get some sleep because I was just drained, and I really wanted to try and get some energy back so that way I can go and, you know, visit all of the attractions and, you know, meet with some local people and really have the energy to fully enjoy the United Kingdom. The owner of my Airbnb, sweetest woman ever. It was a really cool Airbnb, and the one thing that I will say is that I was not used to such small dwellings. Obviously, I've lived in the US pretty much all of my life. Even the smaller houses and apartments were relatively large compared to the Airbnb that I stayed in. But, you know, that's how things are in Europe, especially in London. The Airbnb itself was absolutely beautiful. All white, really ornately decorated. Like I was kind of afraid to touch anything because everything was just so pristine, you know? It was about 20 minutes from downtown London via train. My host, she actually invited me to Sunday roast, which is a thing in London, and I am a fan. It was delicious. Like I need to start this here in Philly, you know? Another thing that was really cool was the tube, their version of the subway. I don't think I've ever been on any kind of public transportation system in the US that was that well on time and that clean. I mean, it's a subway, so obviously it's not, you know, sanitary, but, you know, compared to SEPTA or MTA here in the States, it looked like a starship. It was kind of crazy. So yes, I know this was a vacation, but I still ended up doing work. It wasn't like work. Right before I had left for this trip, I actually shot my best friend Jose's engagement shoot with his fiancée Issa. So I actually ended up editing some of their shoot while I was there, only because I really wanted to get those pictures out to them. I loved that session so much that I was really excited to see their response about it. So I was like, you know what? I'll get a little bit of work done. Supposed to be taking care of myself, I know, but I made this one excuse. So I think that for people that are seasoned travelers, you know, anytime that you come across something or some place that reminds you of home is always just a welcome feeling. So one thing that I came across when I was in London was actually something that directly from South Philly, and it was awesome to see. I came across this bar, and if you're from Philly, you know about Pass Young Avenue in South Philly. It's where the Italian market is, and all of these amazing sports bars and restaurants that are specifically themed for Philly sports. I'm talking Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, like all of it. So this bar, Pass Young Avenue, it was actually started by two people that came from Philly to London to start this business. And when I tell you, this place was like a spitting image of home. It was amazing. It really was a cool experience. I mean, they had Philly sports memorabilia on all of the walls. They had, you know, the Philly special play, you know, up on the wall back from when we won the Super Bowl. It was really, really dope. Come to find out that when the Eagles actually went to London to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, a lot of the team members actually came to Pass Young Avenue after the game and was signing autographs, signing memorabilia that you can see up on the walls and everything. It was so awesome to see bits and pieces of your hometown, you know, 8 hours away by air on a whole complete different continent in another country, and people enjoying it and appreciating it. I mean, I can only say but so much about this place, so I'm going to let Gary, one of the bartenders over at Pass Young Avenue, tell you more about it.
So, from a lot of the native Philadelphians that have come over here to our restaurant here in London, we've been told that they are the best cheesesteaks outside of Philadelphia. They're cooked exactly the same way. This place is all about authenticity, especially when it comes down to the food and the drinks, and even the service as well. I've had a Philadelphia cheesesteak about 3 years ago. It was amazing, great hangover cure, and since working here, I can't agree more that it definitely is like the best outside of Philly. We spend about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, just getting the right consistency. So the bread that we use is not Amorosa, but it's the closest that we get to Amorosa. Am I saying that right? So anywhere else in the UK won't have this kind of bread, especially during Eagles Week when we had 50% of the city over here in this restaurant. They've told us that it's the closest and best cheesesteak outside of Philadelphia, like I've already said. And yeah, it just feels like they're right back at home. The owner and my boss, who just walked past then, are both from Philly, New Jersey. He's from New Jersey, but boss JP, he's from South Philly. So he really, really, really wanted to make sure that this place sung the praises of Philadelphia. And I think we're getting those praises a lot. One classic cheesesteak, ribeye steak, onions, and our very own homemade whiz cheese, not from the can, because it's illegal over here. Isn't that funny?
Really?
Yeah. We make this every morning ourselves with about 10 different cheddar cheeses and a pickle on the side. Enjoy, dude. Verdicts, my friend.
Damn near tastes like the real thing. Holy.
Yeah! 10 out of 10 marks.
Oh yeah, they got a fan. This is like something right out of Philly. Just this whole combination right here. Just tastes amazing. Awesome. If you're in London, come check this place out. You guys come check it out. Especially from a Philly fan. Born and bred Philadelphian, you gotta come check this place out. You have to.
All in all, it was an amazing experience. I definitely will be going back to London and trying to experience more. Again, I was only there for 4 days, but I definitely need to do an extended trip and really get out of central London and explore the surrounding areas and meet more people. The people there were amazing, really friendly. So if you're finally planning to take a trip over to Europe, once the apocalypse is finally over and, we can get back to our regular lives, I definitely recommend going over to London town. And if you do end up going and you've never been to Philly before, definitely check out Pass Young Avenue. If you've never had a true Philly cheesesteak, this is probably the closest bang on representation of a Philly cheesesteak that you can get outside of the 215. I mean, it was spot on, especially considering they didn't have access to the actual ingredients that we use here. I mean, they get a thumbs up for me. They get 2 thumbs up for me. So with that being said, once again, my name is Brandon Walker. This is Dancers That Shoot. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and support this channel so that way I can give more back to the community and help other dancers, business owners, content creators, and people just looking to create. And let's go into 2021 and take care of yourselves. Take care of your well-being. If you didn't get anything from this video, make sure that you take care of you. Be safe, be kind to each other. Let's survive this apocalypse and go into 2021 and get ready to put a dent in the universe. Take care.